Some stories are born from fear, others from pain, and a few from sin. Angel Engine belongs to that last category. So far, we've witnessed humanity's greatest betrayal, capturing an angel sent by God, imprisoning it, and turning it into the power source for a corrupt world, all in the name of a single promise, the eternal miracle, an artificial utopia. And to achieve it, divinity itself had to be stripped of its dignity. But what we're about to witness goes far beyond everything we've seen so far. That was only the beginning. Today, we're diving into what might be the most brutal and disturbing twist in the entire series. Because if it was already hard to imagine a world where God has been betrayed, what happens when the most important man in history is brought back to life, possessed by an entity determined to turn his legacy into the final instrument of humanity's damnation? And believe me when I say, nothing is ever the same after this. With that said, I strongly recommend watching the previous 2 videos before continuing. They're essential to fully understand the story. The playlist should be popping up right about now. I have a big announcement to make. Some of you already know this if you've been keeping up with the updates in the community section. A lot of you have told me that you enjoy having my videos on in the background while gaming, drawing, or even to relax before bed. That's exactly why I've decided to launch a second channel, one entirely dedicated to that purpose. Catman Stories. On this new channel, I'll be telling chilling horror stories, all set against the soft, relaxing sound of rain. So there's no need to keep your eyes on the screen. Just let it play and drift away. In fact, the first video is already out, so feel free to give it a look. I'd be eternally grateful. But of course, watch this video first. Priorities. And just to be clear, this won't affect the main channel at all. You'll still be getting new videos here every week, just like always. As for the second channel, I'll do my best to stay consistent and bring you a few videos each month. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who responded to the pinned comment in the last video and for the incredible support you always give me. Remember, if you'd like to be featured in the next video, make sure to reply to the pinned comment where you'll find this question. What role do you think the hero will play in the story? And as always, don't forget to leave your precious like and subscribe to help the channel grow and reach more people. Every like is one more coin to escape poverty. If you're unsure what to comment, just type meow in the comments section and I'll give you a heart in return. Comments are incredibly important and help the video a lot, so don't forget to leave yours. Welcome back to Angel Engine. We begin by returning to Rewired magazine. After the shock caused by the death of Dr. Geoff Ernstmann, the magazine released a new issue. Its cover hauntingly captures the essence of this story. God is dead, but his angel remains. The image is as powerful as it is provocative. We see Stephen Eckelblum, the main spokesperson for the project and likely Ernstmann's right-hand man, staring intently at Uriel, suspended in a posture that is unmistakably sacrificial. He's completely restrained, motionless, utterly unable to lift a finger against the monster before him. Eckelblum watches him closely, his expression a chilling mix of detachment and superiority. There's not a trace of compassion in his eyes. This is the world that Angel Engine has built, a world where God is no longer needed because his angel is still imprisoned, a world where miracles are industrialized, packaged, sold, and extracted through the suffering of a benevolent being who only sought to protect and help humanity. The phrase, "God is dead, but his angel remains," once again reveals the staggering arrogance of many within this universe, more than we might expect. The scales, once balanced between those who supported the project and those who condemned it, are beginning to tip dangerously. Inside the magazine, a key question is raised. What will happen now to the Angel Engine? With the death of Dr. Ernstmann at the age of 41, the world stands at a crossroads. Is this the end of the project? Is there anyone capable of continuing his legacy? Or will the Angel Engine become a relic of the past, too advanced to be understood by the remaining scientists? For now, there's no clear answer. The only thing we know is that Geoff Ernstmann, no matter how many attempts are made, remains stubbornly dead. They've tried bringing him back to life many times, but the machine won't respond. No matter how many times they attempt the miracle, nothing happens. Is it a technical failure, or could it be something else? What is certain is that the man who wasn't just the most intelligent, but perhaps the most powerful to ever exist, is still dead, and with him perhaps his vision as well. Even so, Stephen Eichelblum attempts to reassure the public with an official statement, insisting it's only a matter of time before our dear friend returns. He holds on to hope, but what he seems to overlook is that the energy used for these miracles is drawn directly from a conscious being, and if that energy is, at its core, a living extension of the archangel himself, then there's a very real possibility that Uriel is attempting to sabotage the system from within, draining it in secret, exhausting it, rendering it unusable so that it can never be used for the purpose the scientists within the Second Tower of Babel are now so desperate to fulfill: the resurrection of Ernstmann. In the previous video, I proposed two possible interpretations of what happened to the doctor after his death. But today, I'm leaning firmly toward the second one, and I'm partially revising what I said back then. Next, I'm going to take a pause, not just to explain this theory in the depth it deserves, but also to revisit key moments in the series and bring forward ideas that we may have all overlooked. This will be important later, so please pay close attention. As I always say, I could be wrong. Analyzing and explaining a series that's still ongoing is never easy, especially when it's one as cryptic, ambiguous, and symbolic as this. There are many possible interpretations, and what seems clear today might completely change tomorrow. First, we need to go back to the very beginning of the series, back to the moment when Uriel descends from the heavens, only to be captured and imprisoned within the angel engine. Many of us have asked the same question ever since, a question that, until now, I haven't brought up in either of the previous videos. But now, more than ever, it feels like the right time to address it and begin theorizing. How did they manage to capture him in the first place? How could Dr. Ernstmann have acquired the knowledge necessary to build a machine capable of containing and exploiting a divine being? Let's remember, the angel engine was created with one purpose: extract divine energy to do two things: provide humanity with nearly unlimited power and use it to manufacture artificial miracles. Ernstmann may very well be the most brilliant human to ever live, but he's still just that, a human. The knowledge required to build such a device lies far beyond the reach of any mortal, unless, of course, he had help. Help from someone who understands divine nature all too well. Exactly. I'm talking about the Antichrist. The fact that we see him in the lab shortly after Uriel's capture is no coincidence. And yes, that entity we see in the very first episode, that is the Antichrist. When I first analyzed that episode, I merely narrated what happened, but I never really addressed what we were truly being shown. A figure, which we now know is the form Uriel uses to communicate from the future, explains the steps required to capture an angel, exploit the planet's resources, destroy wildlife. In short, push all life to the brink of extinction. That's when an angel will descend to save us. But why would an angel tell us how to capture an angel? Now it all makes more sense, doesn't it? Here, the Antichrist takes Uriel's form to mislead us, the viewers, but only in the first episode. The figure we see afterward really is Uriel. Next question. Why would the Antichrist want to help Dr. Ernstmann? Simple. Ernstmann is special. This isn't news, but the Antichrist saw an opportunity to take control of everything. The Antichrist's goal is to lead us to absolute destruction, but not directly, not immediately. The Antichrist doesn't seek the immediate physical annihilation of humanity. His aim is far more insidious: total corruption. He doesn't arrive in fire and chaos. He doesn't descend with an army of death. He doesn't hurl lightning or tear open the sky. The Antichrist wants humanity to destroy itself. His plan is to sow lies, ego, arrogance, and contempt for the sacred, to convince the world it no longer needs God, to make humanity willingly abandon everything that connects it to goodness, compassion, and redemption. In that sense, his destruction is spiritual long before it becomes physical, and once corruption reaches its peak, only then does the total collapse come, the apocalypse. That's why we see him whispering into the ear of the President of the United States, pushing him toward a war that could still be avoided, a war that will become one of the key events leading the world into a desolate wasteland. But In the meantime, the world must be distracted. All eyes must be turned toward a false hope. And what better way to do that than to turn a brilliant, world-renowned scientist, a psychopath with a god complex, into the most famous and important man in history? To make that happen, he did something incredibly simple. He gave him the instructions, not just to summon an angel, but to build a machine capable of containing it. Once that was accomplished, it was inevitable. All eyes, both of the living and those yet to be born, would turn to him. And well, ladies and gentlemen, the rest is history. Thanks to that influence, Ernstmann even created a thing that made Uriel obsolete. But for what purpose? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. What matters is this. Once the Antichrist saw that Ernstmann had reached the exact point he needed, and just as he was about to do with Uriel, he disposed of him. Because in this case, he needed to possess his body, and Ernstmann's body is no ordinary body. It is the symbol of the new order, the face of science triumphant over the divine, the man who turned an angel into an engine and convinced the world that miracles could be manufactured. To possess Ernstmann is to seize his legacy, his influence, his power. The Antichrist doesn't just want to corrupt humanity from the outside. He wants to take on the flesh of the very man who opened the door, the man who betrayed God, the man who crossed every moral line. Becoming Ernstmann is the final move. It's no longer about imitating Uriel. It's about becoming the new messiah of a damned world. Ernstmann was molded to be the perfect vessel, worshipped by some, hated by others, but remembered by all. Geoff Ernstmann is the one name everyone knows by face. After his death, the Antichrist himself took his soul. That's why Uriel refuses to bring him back. Remember, Uriel still wants to help us, no matter the cost. He refuses because what would return wouldn't be Ernstmann. It would be evil itself, now with a physical body, the body of the most influential man in the world. More convenient, more practical. But do you really think the Antichrist didn't know this would happen? This is the biggest theory I've developed about angel engines so far. And honestly, the fact that these two scenes are so similar, that's no coincidence. As always, what do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Back to the magazine. Eckelblum also confirms that the unveiling of Ernstmann's final invention hasn't been cancelled, only postponed. The new date is April 1st at Solomon Hall, the very place where Ernstmann was attacked before the original revelation. Now the entire world turns its eyes to Beersheba, to the second Tower of Babel. Some do so with excitement, others holding their breath, waiting to see what comes next. The article ends with the same phrase it began with: God may be dead, but his angel remains. This time spoken by Stephen Eckelblum himself, blatantly comparing Ernstmann to God. Geoff Ernstmann may be dead, but his angel, his machine, remains. After that, we get this post. Nothing important at first glance, just a meme, an extra little post to make the wait between episodes more bearable. But there's something I can't stop thinking about. The kid. The same kid we've seen before, wandering the Holy Land after the apocalypse. The same one many have come to call the hero. The one who, according to the most popular theories, ventures into the most dangerous place on Earth in search of Uriel to finally set him free. The last hope of humanity. But what's he doing alongside Ernstmann and his right hand? Is the creator trying to tell us something with this? I don't know, maybe there's a connection between them. But for now, nothing has been confirmed. I honestly can't wait to see an episode centered on this kid and on his journey, or rather, his misadventures through the desolate wasteland the world has become. The next episode of Angel Engine was released on a date that was anything but random. Easter Sunday, April 20th, 2025, a sacred day for millions around the world, commemorating the resurrection of Jesus Christ after his death. And true to form, this new episode chooses to desecrate that very idea. We begin with Uriel, more broken than ever. His appearance is becoming unrecognizable. His words are brief, fragmented, yet their meaning is all too clear. A few lines stand out. He is risen. He is not here. At first glance, these seem like direct quotes from the New Testament, and they are. There were phrases traditionally associated with Christ's resurrection, but here, something is deeply wrong. Uriel is warning us about an inevitable event, one he does not condone, the resurrection of Dr. Ernstmann, or rather of the Antichrist. The phrase, "he is not here," makes it painfully clear. The real miraculous scientist is gone. What's coming back won't be him. It will be something much, much worse. But wasn't Uriel supposed to stop this? Well, as we've been told time and time again, soon enough, Uriel will no longer be needed to bring him back to the world of the living. Then the camera zooms out, revealing a deeply unsettling image. We see Stephen Eckelblum speaking directly to the camera, his face completely devoid of emotion, of humanity. Beside him lies the grotesque, lifeless body of Ernstmann, kept intact only by tubes and wires. Eckelblum smiles as he speaks of hope, perseverance, and triumph over death. He begins drawing a parallel with Jesus Christ, referencing his resurrection and the forgiveness of sins. But soon the tone shifts. He starts equating that divine miracle with Geoff Ernstmann himself. In essence, he tells us that even though they still can't operate their new invention, just as Christ rose from the dead, Ernstmann will rise too. That humanity must keep the faith in the project, in the tower, in the machine. This speech, wrapped in gentle words and ceremonial flair, becomes one of the most blasphemous moments in the entire series. They're no longer justifying anything. They're no longer hiding. They're building a new religion, complete with its own martyr, its own miracle, and its own artificial resurrection. The episode ends with a phrase, a statement that, under other circumstances, might sound hopeful, but here, it becomes a threat.
He will rise again.
And sure enough, he did. Although the creator described the following post as nothing more than a simple edit, the content speaks for itself. First, we see the floating heads of Ernstmann, Eckelblum, and the hero. Once again, it's clear that some kind of connection exists between them. Then, an endless line of Ernstmann clones, identical, eerily calm, inhumanly serene, raise their hands, shaped like guns, and point them directly at Uriel's head. Uriel is on his knees, defeated, utterly humiliated. This scene is heavy with meaning. It's not just a depiction of Uriel's submission, it's a statement of intent. He is no longer needed. The world shaped by Ernstmann, or more accurately, by the Antichrist through him, has no use for angels anymore. Or at least, not in the same way. And that's when we see it, the final result of years of research. A living mockery, an abomination built to replace Uriel, not just in function, but in presence. The Antichrist's trump card. He knew Uriel would refuse to resurrect Ernstmann. That's why this artificial angel was created, a monster with the power to do what the archangel once did, perhaps even better. Because if they can manufacture a god and wield it however they please, why rely on the real one? Out of that blasphemy was born this perfect creature, Barachiel. Barachiel is one of the 7 archangels venerated in Eastern Christian traditions. His name comes from Hebrew and means blessed by God. To name this machine after a true angel is a direct insult. Just one more for the collection.
I see your spirit. I see your flesh.
The first words spoken by this artificial angel may seem simple, but they carry a terrifying weight. Because in order to truly see your spirit, one doesn't just need eyes. They must be designed to reach the deepest layers of your being, your essence, your will, your soul. This being doesn't just perceive your physical form, it can see into the spiritual. It isn't just a machine, it's not a mere substitute. It's an entity built to invade everything. And when it says it can see your flesh, it doesn't mean the surface of your body. It means your weakness, your mortality, your fragility as a human being. This sentence makes it clear. You're not standing before some advanced artificial intelligence. You're standing before something else. A hybrid presence. Something born from the divine, but shaped by profane hands. A machine with the gaze of a false god, and the power to tear you apart, inside and out.
free yourself from the flesh.
Ha ha ha. Why the shocked faces? You didn't really think I'd miss my own invention's big unveiling, did you? Now, without further ado, let me present to you my blessing upon this world. The world's first artificially created angel. Would you be so kind and tell the audience your name?
Uriel.
Let's break it down step by step. The first thing we see is a scene that perfectly represents the resurrection of Ernstmann as the Antichrist. We witness his soul subjugated, erased. He's already been possessed. Then, in an eerie, unnatural calm, a hole opens in his face, and from within, Uriel begins to emerge. He's bringing him back to life. And finally, we arrive at the grand unveiling. Along with it comes the grand reappearance of Dr. Geoff Ernstmann, or rather, what's left of him. After all, how could he miss the day his greatest creation is revealed to the world? His expression says it all. Triumphant, arrogant, mocking. The Antichrist has won. He's seized control of the entire world. He has crowned himself the god of the new world to come. From this moment forward, there's no doubt. Angel Engine has officially become one of those fictional universes labeled as forsaken by God. In many stories of cosmic or post-apocalyptic horror, it's suggested that God has disappeared, died, or simply stopped intervening. But in Angel Engine, it's not that God abandoned the world, it's that the world deliberately abandoned God, and it did so knowingly. The most ironic and terrifying part of it all is that perhaps God did respond. He sent help, he sent Uriel, but humanity, far from being grateful, plugged him into a machine. So yes, Angel Engine isn't just a world forsaken by God. It's one where death no longer holds any meaning, where God was betrayed, killed in spirit, and his angel reduced to a slave. A world that made its choice, that chose its new God, its new gods, and must now face the consequences. All we can do now is watch Uriel cry, begging to be freed so he can help us stop a future that has already been sealed. The curtain opens, and there he stands, the new angel, the perfect machine, the final blasphemy. And now we understand. The figure we saw in that How to Survive in the Holy Land video wasn't the Antichrist. It was Uriel. There are now 3 pieces on the board, 3 beings that don't belong to this world. Who knows how any of this will end? The scene shifts. We're taken to Uriel prison during a national news broadcast. The reporter announces that the body of Jensen Goldstein, the man who killed Dr. Ernstmann, was found dead just days after the doctor's resurrection. Coincidence? Absolutely not. Goldstein had been possessed by the Antichrist to carry out the murder, and once his purpose was fulfilled, he was discarded. Or maybe the phrase you are seeing on the screen has something to do with it. Truth is, we don't really know for sure. In the end, Uriel, just like the Antichrist did in the early episodes, breaks the 4th wall. He looks directly at us. It only deepens their connection. After all, the Antichrist himself is the true father of this artificial angel. He tells us he loves us, but something tells me that his idea of love is nothing like ours. We've reached the chapter that marks the end of all currently available content. We go back in time. We see Uriel, or rather the Antichrist, taking his form and explaining how to awaken the Angel Engine. But is he really speaking to us? Clearly not. These words are meant for Ernstmann. This is where the theory is confirmed. The Antichrist played a crucial role in the creation of the monstrous machine we all know by now. Build the mainframe. Prepare for what is to come. Bleed to feed the hunger of the machine. These are just some of the steps the Antichrist whispers to Ernstmann. Then the scene shifts. We're taken to an interview on the Barry Donovan show, once again with Ernstmann, except this time after his death. But something feels off. His attitude. He doesn't even seem like the same person we saw moments ago. The Antichrist. Confident, arrogant, with the whole world in the palm of his hand. But now, he appears anxious, short-tempered. Which makes me wonder, what if the doctor's soul hasn't completely vanished? What if there are two minds trapped inside the same body? As I mentioned at the beginning, analyzing and explaining an ongoing series is always tricky, especially when it's something like Angel Engine. So if everything I've told you today turns out to be way off from what's really going on, don't worry. Once the series is finished, I'll release the ultimate breakdown in chronological order with all the pieces finally in place. And well, in the end, the interview spirals out of control.
Geoff? Did you hear me? Geoff? How was it, being dead and all? Fuck you. Sorry, what was that, Geoff? I said fuck you. Now turn off that camera. Good one. Almost got me there. I am not joking. Turn it off. I don't quite understand. You do know we are live, right? What are you doing? Stop it.
All right, that's all for today. With these episodes, we've officially reached the halfway point of the story. But trust me, Angel Engine still has so much more in store. In fact, there are already talks about a possible video game, maybe even an animated series. So don't worry, Angel Engine isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Anyway, leave your thoughts in the comments. I love reading what you all have to say. If you want more videos like this, don't forget to support this one as much as possible and share it with as many people as you can. Also, make sure to follow me on my other social media platforms where I post exclusive short content you won't find here on YouTube. And most importantly, a huge shout out to all the channel members. Seriously, thank you all so much. If you'd like to become a member, just click the join button next to the subscribe button to unlock tons of perks and exclusive emojis while supporting me. If you're interested, join in. I'll be forever grateful. And remember, this video was made by a cat, and cats can't talk. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you soon.